I got a video we're going to watch. Usually, I start off with like a video mocking Trump or the news of the day. I want to watch this video, and it's a little disturbing. So I hope you're not bothered by it, but I'm begging you, I want you to watch this video.
Wait, you guys came to the school to do this?
Do you have a warrant? They haven't asked for a warrant. My name is Jocelyn from Cicero. They don't have a warrant. They didn't ask for one. They forcefully opened the door of the truck. It was locked. It was locked.
You're going to record this. Don't get it closer from me, all right? Michael, please stay back, please. He's being arrested for his.
Yeah, but you guys came to the school?
Out of the car. They forced us out of the car. They were following us. They were obsessed.
Whoa.
That is in Chicago, Illinois. That's an elementary school pickup line. She's a legal resident. She was released later. That was 7, 8 ICE agents descending on the school pickup line at an elementary school in Chicago, Illinois, because they're not allowed inside the schools, the property of the schools, because it's private. They've been banned from them. And believe it or not, we can do that. You can ban them from private property as well. But they followed that family because they were Latino looking. They screamed, they're screaming. They terrorized elementary school children. Apparently, if you don't see it in the shot, there's children fleeing with their parents. Parents are fleeing the area because they're terrified. Does this make us safer? Does it make us safer that children are being terrorized by government agents en masse? Are those brave, tough men defending us? Is that the story you want to believe that's being told to us by our government right now? I served 3 combat tours in Iraq, in addition to Desert Storm, my 4th. My first tour, I spent a lot of time talking, well, frankly, all 3, I worked directly with the Iraqis, be it as local civilians or military members. That was my job. I was an advisor to them. The last 2 tours especially. These are the stories that we heard about Saddam Hussein's Iraq. And that's what we've become. Put politics aside. Republican, Democrat, this has nothing to do with that. This is the soul of our nation. And I'll keep saying that. I think I put a video out earlier today on that. But I really wanted you guys to watch that. And I know it's a serious start for a Friday night show. But we have to be witnesses to this, because the only way we're going to stop it is we see, because that's what Dr. Muhammad told me in Northern Iraq. You learned not to see things under a dictatorship. And I'm urging all of us to see the monstrous actions being done in our names by our government. Seeing children ripped from their families. This is not who we are. I refuse to believe it. And that's why I'm excited about our guest tonight. I've got a great guest, Mike Nellis. You probably know him from the internet. If you don't, it's unbelievable. You don't. He is a terrific guy. He's a terrific pundit. He's got a professional Democratic strategist. We're going to talk about this. He's in Chicago. We're going to talk about a lot. Thanks for being with me. This is On Democracy, FP Wellman. Let's get on with the show. Oh, we're back. It's still me, Fred Wellman, as it was 30 seconds ago for the music. There's so much going on, and it's such a crazy week. That's why I'm so excited to have our guest. Mike Nellis is a leading political strategist. He's a social impact entrepreneur, which is close to my heart. We could probably talk about. He's been reshaping politics. You've probably seen him. If you don't watch OAN or Newsmax, you may not actually see him. He's been showing up there a lot. He isn't afraid to go in the lion's den, and now he stepped into democracy. On Democracy. Welcome, brother. And you're in the Antifa occupied war zone of Chicago today. How's that? It looks dangerous. How's that?
Well, no, I'm very grateful to Antifa for helping us beat the Brewers last night.
I know. All right, and we were actually, the pre-show, folks, was us talking about baseball. So that's what we do. If you ever wonder what happens behind the scenes, I'm a St. Louisan, he's Chicago, and so we have to talk about. We did come together.
I'm going to work in like 3-4 digs just to get the Cardinals swing over.
Dude, it is so hard. It is so hard lately. It's like they're like, "Oh, attendance is way down." Like, well, maybe if we were playing better baseball, that would
I
probably
would have played a baseball game of an out of your
funny thing about that. Yeah, it's a funny thing. So look, let's just start there in Chicago. You and I think we both posted that video of the ICE agents pulling the mom out of a minivan in the pickup line for kids in elementary school. I mean, we're seeing those. We heard the reports of the apartment building being, just ransacked and kids being zip tied. I mean, what is the mood in Chicago itself? I mean, I know I've seen Pritzker, I've seen the mayor, but you're both a political strategist and a resident who lives there. I mean, what's the vibe, if you will, and what's going on, brother?
So Chicago's a powder keg right now. That's the only way to describe it.
That's my worry right there.
I think you're seeing the worst of humanity right now with how ICE is treating people. And you talked about the apartment building. You saw a priest get shot in the head with a pellet gun.
Yeah.
There's all these other videos of like random ICE agents just aiming guns at people and grabbing them off the street. But you also see the best of Chicago right now, in my opinion, which is that there are a lot of people who are standing up for our brothers and sisters and our neighbors. And I'm really proud of this city. And it's kind of hard to say you're proud of a city at a moment like this, but I keep checking in with my friends, even people who are not political, like people that just sort of don't get involved in this, are trying to find their ways to be useful right now. Like I met with my alderman and a couple other elected officials yesterday, and we were talking about how I'm on the school council. Each Chicago public school is like a council, so I represent the community for the council that I'm on. And then the school has a Latino population of about 40%. And so we were talking about how we can, one, make sure that the kids feel safe, make sure that the parents know that they're dropping off their kids somewhere. Like ICE is not allowed on a CPS public school. But you talked about that video of the woman who got pulled up in the drop-off line. They are getting increasingly aggressive, trying to pull people who are just trying to pick up their kids from school, which means they're separating families. By the way, the woman in that video was a legal resident. So they are indiscriminately grabbing people because of the color of their skin, and that is not right. And so we need more people that are going to step up. And so we're talking about like designated drop zones and putting up signs and creating alert systems and stuff like that. So, I mean, those things are happening. So you are seeing the best of it, but it's not a great time.
No, and it's frustrating because and I actually frustrating. That's that's not the word. It's infuriating. Yeah, exactly.
It's frustrating, it's infuriating. And yeah, anybody who isn't enraged by this, I'm sorry for you, because there's just to like, look, I'm the first person to tell you in the Democratic Party that we screwed up the border in the last 4 years. We should have done more to tighten the border. We should have done more to remove violent criminals. This is not what Donald Trump promised. It's not what people want. I talk to a lot of Republicans who don't want this either. Like they're horrified by the images that they're seeing. So, I come back to it is this, is that there are people who are here illegally. They're undocumented, but they're doing work. They're contributing to society. They're an important part of the fabric of this. They are as American as you or I. Their documentation is not what gives you your ability to be American. That comes from here. It's your grit, it's your heart, and then the hard work that you contribute to this society, the same like you and I do, Fred. And like there are small businesses that are dying right now, restaurants that people aren't going to where they can't find workers. You have working class people who are just trying to go to work, to go to Home Depot to get supplies, and they're getting picked up. You have kids that are being terrorized at school. It just isn't right.
And that's what makes me so crazy. I'm an Iraq veteran, and I tell a story very often. I'm sure the folks who watch the show are tired of the story, but I do talk about my Iraqi partners telling me what life was like under Saddam. And I remember being relieved it wasn't like that here. But here we are in 2025, and we've got black vans pulling up and masked men grabbing people off the streets. We got them, tackling abuelas and grandpas. And, I mean, watching guys march up to a guy who's literally cleaning a park, pick up the garbage in our parks and then zip tying him and tackling like he's a real live hardened criminal. It's just, for me, I think we've crossed a line where we're battling for the soul of our country. I mean, we're so far beyond party politics on this issue. We're talking about the soul of our country. Do you feel the same way?
I do. I mean, we've been battling for the soul of the country, I would argue, for my entire political career. Like just everything just keeps getting worse, right? And then Democrats have not met the moment, which is awfully frustrating to see. Like I'm really frustrated with what the Democratic Party did over the last couple of years. I'm a member of the Democratic Party, to be clear. I'm strategist. I'm partially responsible for that. And I think we've got to get stronger and tougher, and we've got to get away from some of the mistakes that we've made. But we're living in a time where I don't know where this ends. And I actually just published a piece right before I came on here, but they indicted Letitia James, and most people are going to go, what's wrong, but it doesn't impact their lives. But Donald Trump is going to go after anybody who he believes has attacked him or anybody who he perceives as a threat to them. And that list is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually it's going to include anybody who doesn't think the way that he does, speak the way that he does, move and act the way that he does. And so they're going to go after Letitia James. They're going to go after James Comey because they're pushing that out. They're going to get 300 National Guard troops from Texas to come into the city of Chicago. Then that doesn't impact most Americans. but it's going to get more and more and more. Authoritarians don't stop. They keep going. He's the definition of, if you give a mouse a cookie, he will take the whole damn box. And so
Right.
I think people have to wake up and understand that there's going to be more of this. And every time he succeeds, it gets greater. And eventually it's going to come for you, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah, I think that's what the thing. Definitely the lesson we've learned is, and I talked to Jason Crow about this last week on the show, is just give him an inch, he'll still take a mile. Like Columbia, you look at John Oliver did that great piece about how Columbia gave him everything he wanted, so he wanted more. There's never going to be an end to this. And where it gets really dangerous for me too is they're going through mortgage records that are federal private records. They're going through tax records now. They've opened the entire government now as an open source to attack their enemies in every way. I'm sure people running for office are nervous. Anybody's nervous now, but it is the classic story, right?
Right. They're also being selective about it,
Right.
which is like, they're going after Adam Schiff on the mortgage record stuff right now. And look, Adam does maintain a residency in California because he's a California resident and the senator from California, but he also
Right.
maintains a residency in DC. So if he's guilty of that, so is every member of Congress, every single one of them. And so it's just like, it's petty, small stuff that they then try to elevate and escalate into fraud when it really isn't. And it's just ridiculous.
Right. And that's the thing. It is who you pick. They're not even targeting other people doing the exact same things. But and we talk a lot about slippery slopes and the pro-drug action movement, but it is. I mean, there is no question this will continue until he's stopped in a real way. And I guess I want to turn to that's the one. I mean, I talk a lot about the silence of the Republican Congress. They've been a doormat for him. We're now in a shutdown. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. Aren't we the CR they're trying to pass? Isn't it based on the 2024 budget, or do I go further back? I mean, literally, it's Biden's last budget that they're trying to continue, isn't it?
Well, not really. I mean, they keep trying to argue that this is Biden's budget, but they passed their budget bill
Right.
a couple months ago. This is the Republican budget. Like, the Republicans are in control of the presidency, they're in control of the White House and the House of Representatives and the Senate, and they have been acting with such arrogance for the last 10 months about how much power and authority that they have to get stuff
Right.
done. And now they're like, oh no, the weak and puny Democrats that we've been arguing about for 10 months, they're the ones shutting the government down. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And look, this could end tomorrow. All they have to do is agree to the three things that the Democrats care about. They need our votes. Part of negotiation is giving up a little to get something, right?
That's leadership too.
Right. Democrat now, and most of the focus of the conversation has been on the healthcare subsidies because it's simple and easy for people to understand. Your healthcare premiums are set to double and triple. There are people who are getting letters right now where these subsidies are going away. There are people who are going to go from paying, like $5,000 a year to $15,000 to $20,000 a year, and that's not acceptable for people at a time when the tariffs are driving up costs on everything. Housing is completely unaffordable and out of reach for most Americans. Like, it's ridiculous. You can't buy a house. So we should be doing that. But there's two other things Democrats are advocating for that I think people miss. One, we need to get one hand back on the wheel for Congress on tariffs. These tariffs are illegal. They're making everything more expensive. And Donald Trump is not being reined in at all by the Republicans in Congress. So he should be acquiescing that authority, which is in the Constitution, back to the United States Congress. That's two. Number three is that there are cuts in the Republican budget that they passed a few months ago that are devastating to tens of millions of Americans and hurtful to this country. They love to talk about crime and how they're the party of tough on crime and throwing criminals behind bars. They cut $2 billion for community policing in the Republican budget. That means there'll be fewer cops on the streets. They cut money for school lunches for kids. So about 14 million kids who are getting school lunches right now aren't going to have lunches, which is going to impact their academics. And then they're kicking millions of people off of their healthcare. This is simple stuff that we could reverse right now. That, by the way, all three of that is super popular. So just on the politics of it, the Democrats are actually trying to do the Republicans a favor by preventing them from doing the things that people hate.
Right. You're absolutely right. And I did a story yesterday. I did a video yesterday because a story came out here in Missouri that the healthcare, in addition to all this other the actual cost of healthcare going up here in Missouri, there's a $67 million bill coming due to upgrade our systems to manage Medicaid for all these work requirements. Just in Missouri, one of 50 states, $67 million for 50,000 recipients who may have to go fall under the work requirements. So they didn't save any money for any of us. They just passed it to somebody else. But it's still, you and I, average Americans, are going to pay a tax bill somewhere along the line. Because I assure you, Missouri Republicans aren't just going to eat that. They're going to pay us it to somebody eventually, And
I bet that was a $67 million. Just I bet that $67 million isn't going in a contract for that. That's like fair. It's going to go to a donor. It's going to go to somebody who gave money to the Republicans, gave money to the governor or somebody else in that system, and they're going to be paying that back. So that's how the system works. They create barriers for government to help to improve your life. And they move the money in such ways that it goes in the pockets of people who already have so much. And they tell you that there's nothing left. For God's sakes, they gave $20 billion to Argentina for Argentina to turn around and buy all the soybeans from China. And then for the president of Argentina to turn around and throw himself a rock concert to celebrate a new book that he's putting out. Like, what are we doing? Today, they're announcing that Qatar is getting their own military base in Idaho.
I saw that right before we came on the air. Right before we came on the air. I mean, it's insanity. You know, it is insanity. It is, and none of this adds up. None of it makes it. It's just one lie after another. Now,
can I push back on that because it makes a lot. This like I love. Washington's been broken for a really long time, and it has been working for the interests of a handful of people. And who are rich billionaires who control the government, people who own the algorithms, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, etc. That has been true under Democrats. That has been true under Republicans. Now it is dramatically worse than it has ever been. Everything that was wrong with Washington, Donald Trump has poured gasoline on a dumpster fire. It's even worse. This administration is a protection racket for billionaires and crooks. That's all that it is. From pardoning cop beaters to the January 6th insurrection to cutting taxes on billionaires for the third. By the way, every Republican president in my lifetime cuts taxes on billionaires, crashes the economy for working people. That happens every single time. And that should be the Democratic Party's message forever. It's just because objectively what happened.
Facts are facts.
Right. But look at like the Epstein stuff. Like they're protecting, they are not called. Part of the reason they don't want to bring the government back in right now is that Democrats are waiting to swear in Adelita Grijalva, who won the special election in Arizona.
Yep.
The minute they do that, Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie have the votes to move the discharge petition forward on the Epstein files. And then they're going to have a full vote on the Epstein files, which Republicans are somebody's going to break and not vote for it so that they don't have to actually release them, or the Senate isn't going to do anything about it because they're covering up either for Donald Trump, who has committed crimes in those files, which I believe to be pretty damn likely, or they're covering up for other people who are in Donald Trump's administration, in his cabinet. We know Steve Bannon was there. We know Elon Musk had an open invitation to go to the island. We don't know if he went or not. Like, there are open questions about this whole orbit of people, and they're protecting them. They're protecting them. Even on how does that impact your life? If you just want to think about this for a second, let's go back to ICE for a second. They're pulling federal agents from other departments off of the work that they're doing on drug trafficking, sex trafficking, white collar crimes, other things that impact the day-to-day lives of most Americans, to have them do immigration enforcement so they can harass kids in a pickup line. And so we're more likely to have an incident of terrorism. We're more likely to have incidents with drug trafficking. They are not prosecuting and investigating those crimes, and you are less safe because of this.
There's no question about it. Look at Halligan, which the woman, just that indicted Tish James. I mean, all she's done since she got the job a week ago was indict Trump's enemies, not crimes. There's a lot of things going on in Northern Virginia that have nothing to do with Tish James and anybody else, but it has a lot to do with, like you said, drug trafficking and real crimes. I mean, I saw the article, 1/4 of the FBI agents are now focusing on immigration. And did you see that, I'm an old veteran. So we have currently, I don't know if maybe you saw this, we have the highest number of military reserve and National Guardsmen on military orders away from their civilian jobs since the surge in Iraq. Think about that number. We're not actually at war anywhere, certainly not a ground war, where we call it the National Guard and Reserves, but we have so many on military leave from their civilian jobs away from their families because Donald Trump is throwing them in Washington, he's throwing them in Portland, he's throwing them in Chicago. That is an incredibly insane number in the border mission. Those are young men and women and older men and women who have families they're not taken care of. That's jobs that don't have employees. That hurts the economy. We're talking thousands of people yanked out of their lives to pick up garbage in the National Mall or sit their happy asses around Chicago guarding a building that's not under attack. It is a shocking misuse of our military and our law enforcement, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Donald Trump is at war. Let's be clear about that. Donald Trump is at war with his political enemies. Just ask him. He'll tell you about it. Give him all this obvious evidence that then allows the courts to throw this stuff out. These National Guard troops that are here in Chicago, they're supposed to leave now, or at least be on hold for whatever they're doing. Right now, they're standing around. They can't even do anything because the courts are telling them that they can't, because they're not supposed to be here. There's no reason for it to happen. You mentioned the FBI. Like 25% of the FBI right now is working on immigration enforcement. My dad is a 34-year veteran of the FBI. So I grew up in an FBI household. I know a lot of these guys from the Omaha office, from around the country that I've just happened to have a chance to meet. They are some of the bravest, smartest men and women in the country who are fighting to keep you safe from threats that you don't even know about. And there are massive FBI task force that do things like preventing children from being exploited, from working on on kiddie porn, stuff like that. They're not doing that right now. Right. So your kids are less safe. because there are people who are being taken off of those task force. I don't know that specifically, but let's say for the allegory, like your kids are less safe because people who are out there whose job it are to weed out pedophiles that are trying to get your kid in an online chat room are instead grabbing brown people and throwing them in the back of a car in Chicago. Like that is incredibly messed up. Or they're policing drunk girls in Georgetown right now, which is ridiculous. And I'll also point out there's this perception that Donald Trump has created, that the media plays along with, that DC is now so much safer because of what Donald Trump has done with the National Guard. The arrest numbers are the exact same as they were a year ago. They're not arresting more people. They're not prosecuting more people. They've just replaced the police with National Guard troops, and then they're acting like DC is safer when it isn't.
You know, starting a business is very hard. You're going through everything with like finding out your logo, building your website, getting your point of sale set up, your inventory, supply chains these days. Don't get me started about that. You know, when my family started a business 12 years ago in a small town in Virginia, that was one of the big challenges we had. How do we find a point of sale that works? How do we run an online store? How does it all integrate with our social media channels and everything else? And we were just glad that we finally found a partner that works so well for us. And that's where Shopify comes in. Shopify is a commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world. And it's 10% of all e-commerce just in the US alone, from household names that you know, like Mattel and Gymshark, to brands just getting started. Or you know what? Brands you should know, like Sugar and Spruce in Fredericksburg, Virginia. You can get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand's style. Now, you start your content creation. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography for you. You can get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns whenever your customers are scrolling or strolling, and it integrates directly into your point of sale system. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. So if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. So that's where we come in. Turn your big business idea into... That's right. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Fred. That's go to shopify.com/Fred. One more time for those at home, shopify.com/Fred. You can start your business now and grow it successfully.
Right. And that's the thing. It is the other thing I notice a lot too, and I know you have an opinion. This is, you notice how every single time there's an ICE raid or something like that, there's somebody filming. I mean, a lot of this is for show. Is that they figured out that the propaganda wars is important, and then we have government officials participate in this propaganda war. They videotape everything. Every time you see an ICE doing something, when the Marines arrive at the border, they videotape it all. This administration is very aware, like frankly, every authoritarian regime ever, you have to film it all, don't you? And that propaganda is key to this whole battle, isn't it?
Well, this is like, I don't know if you watched, Bill Barr did a comedy special not too long ago, and he talked about why we have so much evidence of the Holocaust. And it was because Innocence filmed everything. Like they filmed it out of hubris because they believed that they were going to win. That's exactly what's happening here. Like they are so sure that they are going to win and be able to frame it that they're recording everything. And that's going to be, it's horrible, but it's going to be incredibly useful for us when we need to expose what they have been doing, because they're going to have a ton of evidence of that. But they invite, like Benny Johnson was in Chicago on Friday. They were raiding school pickup lines, and Benny Johnson was in the back of a van with Kirsty Noem running around pretending to be a cop. Like it's ridiculous. Earlier, a few months ago, they had Dr. Phil was with them in the back because Dr. Phil had Merit Media, which was his TV network, which you mentioned, like small right-wing places that I end up on. Like I was on Merit Media. I was their go-to Democrat, and I believe including 20,000 people who watch Merit Media, I was the only Democrat we heard. They went bankrupt 4 months ago. So like, congratulations. Well done, young man. When it went bankrupt, I was like, God, could this happen to every right-wing network I go on? Get me on Fox Media.
Jezebel. But that's it. I mean, you know, and that is the heavy price that we're paying with this propaganda. The propaganda of all of it is, you know, we joke about the cosplay, we joke about that, but it is a very serious thing. They know what they're doing. They're doing this purposely to show their supporters that we're at war. And one thing I say a lot, I know you said this, I've seen it, is don't give it to them, right? I mean, you said something in our pre-show that Chicago's a tinderbox. I had a professor on from the Chicago, the Center on Political Violence, Center on Political Violence. And we talked about that the danger of deploying our National Guardsmen and these ICE agents to a place like Chicago or Portland is that there will be a violent reaction, which is what they want, isn't it, Mike? They want us to be violent, and they're going to film it, right?
Yep. And I admire the restraint of the people of Chicago right now, because people are really, really angry, and they have every right to be angry, but they're being really smart and strategic about what they're doing. I did see there was some Yahoo at the Broadview Detention Center who had like a handmade shield that he had made with nails on the other side. And he was like, come get me and find out. And I'm like, that's the kind of stupid shit. Like, somebody needs to pull that kid aside and go, they want you to do that. They want you to do that. The better thing to do would be do it like what they did in like Poland and Ukraine, where they hold up like mirrors in front of them so that they can see what they're doing. Like, I like stuff like that. So you got to be smart about the acts of resistance. And the other thing here too, which I just wrote about it in my piece on my Substack, it's called Endless Urgency for anybody who wants to check it out. It is right now for everybody in the city of Chicago, for everybody really around the country, like, they want you to feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of things that are happening. They act like they're winning when they are not. They're doing a lot of horrible stuff, but they're not winning the PR battle. Like, people don't like what's happening in this country right now by large margins. Now, they don't like Democrats. Let's be clear about that. Democrats are very unpopular. It's a different problem. That's why we got to elect people like Fred to office. And I'm sorry if I shouldn't have said that, Fred. I don't want to get trouble. But like, okay. But everybody who's watching this, everybody's out there, you have something in your life, a skill, a usefulness, your body that you can go help make people's lives better. So like, go find your little corner of the world to protect people. Like, for me, I'm trying to like help secure the school down the street for the kids that go there. My son doesn't even go there. I just want to help them because I want to make sure they're okay. So like, find out what you can do, because that's how we get through this. It's a million acts of resistance.
This is why I want you on the show. You and I have said the same thing so many times separately. And by the way, it's the first time hanging out together, which I love, and I can't believe it is. But I say the same thing. You always start at home, right? Start that local campaign if you like one. Have a start of the campaign. Start at your school. Start at your neighborhood. There isn't a campaign on earth that doesn't need you. And a lot of people go, well, I don't need money. Great, then volunteer. You can sit at home and you can stand aside the road and wave a sign. Whatever you can do to be a part of the process instead of sitting in it. We are not powerless, and it does work, right? We've seen that, and that goes the last thing I did. I have to grab you on it. And you and I have said this too, is we have to fight, right? We've seen a little bit of fight finally from our friends, Chuck Schumer. We've seen fight from Hakeem Jeffries with Mike Lawler. That was quite a little. I was joking that I was watching it first. I thought maybe it was a setup, but then I did kind of watch as Hakeem Jeffries got his Brooklyn on. It was like I think he tapped into his inner Brooklyn. Wait. Eventually,
you get on Paul with Hakeem Jeffries, and I've done Woodward with full.
I mean, if you watch that whole thing, and it goes on for a while, you can see him going, "Oh no." You know what I mean? It's like, for those who haven't seen it, and maybe I'll throw that pro show that Hakeem Jeffries was confronted by Mike Lawler, and he was Mr. Hakeem Jeffries, who we know, minority leader. And then at some point he was like, no, I'm not having this anymore, and slipped into it. But we are seeing them fight, right? I mean, that's what a lot of us been begging for. I know you have. Like, we have to fight this. We can't play patty cakes and stern letters anymore, can we?
Well, I need the action to match the rhetoric. Is some of the right. I know there's a lot of people out there who hate Hakeem and who hate Chuck. Like, I don't hate them. I think that they do a lot right, they do a lot wrong, and they've heard from both of them have heard from me about how I feel about certain things. But they have really hard jobs, and I think they're getting it, and they're doing a better job. And obviously, I wish we were in a better position from day one, but it was also a really tricky political situation for them to navigate. But they have gotten more right about the shutdown and the Republican budget, which are the last two major fights that we have had that the American people have paid attention to, than wrong. And, I had Dan Pfeiffer on my show the other day. He asked me like my grade for it, and I'd be like B-, B+, but like, that's enough to win. And it's been a long time since I felt like there's a B+. You may have seen Chuck Schumer put out a video this week, 2 days ago, which, like, is it the best video I've ever seen? No, but it's really good. Go compare that to what Chuck was doing in January, which is very, very different. So like, they're learning, they're getting better. And again, I think we need a new generation of Democratic Party leaders across the board, but that also doesn't mean you throw everybody out, you throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because there's a lot of institutional knowledge, there's a lot of usefulness that these guys have. So we got to like walk and chew gum. And like, for instance, like, I would take a bullet for Rosa DeLauro, because I think she's one of the best fighters that we have in the party. Right. It's just, we can continue to get better and keep fighting, but we need the resistance to be everywhere. Like, we need people on the streets. We need Democrats in Congress to fight. And like, one of my biggest complaints about the shutdown fight right now is last week, Democrats did a lot of like what I'm calling just these unity events or these photo ops where they were like, we're all together in here and the Republicans are somewhere else. And I'm like, it would have been more effective if the 213 of you were all doing different interviews everywhere out in the ecosystem, trying to create viral moments on every show you can get on, local TV, national TV, cable, whatever. Go do it. That's what I want. And that's what the Republicans do. They scatter to the winds, and they have an insatiable desire to do people's shows. Like, and this is not about me hawking my show for a second, but it's like, I have 1.4 million people on Substack. I have not had a single member of Congress on my show. I was shooting my first one tonight with I've had members of Congress on the show, but not during the shutdown. But I have Maxwell Frost on tonight. Now we're going to publish it on Monday. But it's where are they? And not just on my show, like where are they for anybody so that you can hear what needs to happen.
And I'm lucky. I've had a few reach out. Jason Crow was on the show last week. I was supposed to talk about Blunt Rochester. He's great. And Lisa Blunt Rochester is a dear, become a friend, and she was supposed to be on, but she had votes. I get that. But you're right.
I like that.
First, you trying. No, this is the emergency backup show, folks. This is how it works. The sexy world of podcasting. But on that note, it is. You're right. And I've said this for years. I've said this all year. Like, look, there's how many of them? The 47 senators, 215, 18 House members, that Democrats. We don't all have to go. We don't have to play hardball. We could all do different things. I mean, the constant people saying, well, X is a distraction. Great. Then somebody else should handle that. But maybe one of our 215 could handle that, and not everybody, but not everything. We are fighting a multi-front battle. And that's what we had to do. I guess I always go back to being an old soldier. Unfortunately, it gets in your head, but that's my thing, right? It is, we have to fight everywhere. And that means places like where I live in Missouri, which we joke a lot about called, flyover country, but it's not. There's people here who can make a difference. And I mean, we had, for No King's Day last time, we had over 7,000 people on the main artery through my district, standing there protesting and raising their voices. And I keep saying, great, let's take that energy into a campaign. Let's win next year, because we have to make our voices heard. This is still our freedom. And I get frustrated. I know you do too, with people who are sort of a derogatory term I use is surrender monkeys, right? I get so frustrated when people reach out to me and they're like, what's the point? It's all over. It's like, it's not all over, is it, Mike? I mean, we've got a lot of fight in us, don't we?
The people in my comments are like, we're never going to have a free and fair election again. Like, what's it, man? Oh my God, that one. I mean, I believe those people are probably mostly just right-wing trolls trying to like depress people. It would just be my guess, but like,
yeah, it makes sense.
We have to fight because we care. Like, I get asked a lot, like, why I'm a member of the Democratic Party when the Democratic Party pisses me off as much as it does. That's because,
or why aren't you running independent? Like, no,
right? It's a for my 20 years, I have always disliked a large chunk of the Democratic Party, but it is the only party in America that gives a shit about whether or not you have a good paying job, you can buy a house, you can take care of your kids, you have health care, you can retire with dignity. And those things matter. The Republicans have proven to me again and again, they don't care about that. Now, we get a lot wrong. I think there's a lot of like nanny state Democrats that want to tell people how to live their lives. I'm going to fight against that stuff too. But like, it's the only party that cares about you. It is the only party that's trying to improve your life. Look at what the Republicans have done. And so we have to fight, and we have to get better about on the military front. Then, by the way, I have to run because I have another show.
Oh yeah, I was listening where I'm wrapping you.
Is just part of, I think, where the Democratic Party gets broken down and where we fail all the way down and why we fight each other is we lack a commander's intent, to use a military term, right?
Yeah.
Sounds in 2 sentences what this party stands for and who they're fighting for. And like, I just articulated it in my way, but you'd articulate it differently. And then 1,000 different people would articulate it 1,000 different ways. And we don't get that from the top that then trickles on down. So we need to set better expectations from the top all the way down, so that when it's somebody organizing locally in the middle of Missouri, they know what the Democratic Party stands for and they can articulate it too.
God damn it, you use commander's intent to wrap this up. I'm like, my old officer. Yeah. I love it, brother.
Brett just relates to me.
Now, before you go, you got to plug all your stuff. I've been running your website. I've been running your social media. Definitely talk about your Substack. Where can these wonderful viewers do such fun?
I'm on Substack. Endlessurgency.com is where you can find me. I go live every weekday at 5 o'clock. I also go live a couple other times throughout the day. I have shows with Katie Fang and Joe Walsh, and Don Lemon, a whole bunch of others. And you can find me on any major social media platform. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I'm on X. I'm on Threads. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm making.
Well, there's it. With that, get the hell out of here, man. Thanks for. I'm so glad you dove with this grenade for me. It was wonderful, finally connecting.
No, this was not. He's not jumping on a grenade. This was better than whatever I could have done. This is shirt facing Republicans on Twitter.
It's a living.
Then career reward every week when they pay out like $50, and I'm bringing that.
Wait, you get paid? This is bullshit. I've been doing it for free.
What's that movie where it's like you're getting $10,000? Like, you're getting $10,000. I'm getting $5,000. You're getting $5,000 trailer, and the little kid goes, "Yes, you're getting paid."
That's me. How often are they going to accuse me of paid shill? Like, wait a minute, they're paid shills?
I don't constantly do that. How's that DNC paycheck? And be like, I don't get a paycheck.
What?
You never put a paycheck from George Soros? Like, what the call? I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I have real jobs. Like, I run businesses. Like, I just care about this enough.
I just do this because it's fun. Yeah, that's exactly. Well,
it is fun, but
it isn't fun. No, it is.
No.
But it's that's the serious note, and I'll put that in my outro. I'll let you go, but somebody's got to step up. So, all right, I'm going to pull you out of the studio, brother. Thanks so much. Good luck to you. Cheers. He used commander's intent, y'all. I mean, makes my old officer heart sing, when someone says commanders attack. For those who didn't really get that, so one of the biggest things about the there's an old joke in the United States military. I think one of the Germans said it was that there's no point in reading American doctrine because they don't follow it. And we used to laugh about it because it is kind of true that we have doctrine, but it's just sort of guidance. But what we do really have is a system of the United States military based on what we call commander's intent. In other words, we in the military won't say, we want you to take that hill. You're going to go exactly up this route. You're going to use 26 men with these weapons. You're going to attack this way, this way. More often than not, what we do in the military, the good leaders say, I want the hill taken. Go. And their subordinate units decide which armor, which ammo, which they need to use, and all that kind of stuff. So that's the commander's intent once I got to take the hill. And that's exactly what Mike's talking about. I love, what a great place to finish for an old soldier. I'm telling you, that's exactly it, folks. It is about what are we trying to accomplish right now? Like right now, there's a shutdown, but we want to make sure the Republicans, the commander's intent, though, if we want to get those things that Mike talked about, we want to get our healthcare subsidies back. We want to get food back for kids. In my district where I live, 21,500 people are going to lose their healthcare, at least. And that's assuming they don't lose their healthcare just because they can't afford it anymore, because rates are tripling. Rates are going up so much. And the conservative estimates are 40% increase in the ACA alone here in Missouri. That's conservative. We're also seeing reports of private healthcare going up triple. Look, who can afford $15,000, $20,000 a year of health insurance on a $70,000, $78,000 budget or per year income? You just can't, folks. We're living in a fantasy. So the commander's intent, I think, from the Democrats should be very simple. Highlight the fact that we're asking to take care of people. That the difference between the Democrats right now and the Republicans is we just want to take care of our fellow Americans. I don't want them being tackled in the streets when they're actually citizens, or anyone for that matter. I don't want them to have to pay 12% more for their energy rates like we did Chad too in Missouri. I don't want them to be afraid to go to school or to go to the hospital. I don't want that, because that's how I was raised by a Marine of the United States Marine Corps, World War II. We were raised to take care of people. I was an Army officer, and even then, my job, Pete Hegseth gave his little speech last week saying your job is to break things and kill people. No, that's not the only job. It's not the only job, because that's murder. That's turning our sons and daughters into ruthless murderers. And that's not how the United States military is taught. That's not our moral compass. That's not our ethical compass. We don't teach kids. We are not taking your kids and say, hey, I want you to murder people and break things. Yeah, that is a part of the job. I know it seems hard to believe I'm saying this. That is a part of the job. It is a ruthless job sometimes. But I also built schools. I also delivered food and water in the middle of the battle for Najaf, in the march to Baghdad, the middle of the battle of Najaf. I'll tell the story very often. In the middle of the battle for Najaf, Iraq, when we were trying, the 101st Airborne was fighting its way through the city. We were called to send my Blackhawks in with loads of meals ready to eat, MREs, food, and water, bottles of water. And it wasn't for the troops. It wasn't for our troops. It was for the Iraqi citizens that were sheltering inside the Grand Mosque in Najaf. We were delivering food. I had to do a combat drop in the middle of an airfield under fire, being defended by infantrymen, to just throw food and water on the ground and take off before we got shot during a battle, to feed the civilians who were sheltering during the battle. That's who we are. That's the sons and daughters of America that sign up to be your military. That's why people sign up. You don't want people who only want to join the military so they can kill people. You just don't. Because even in the military, we think you're a damn psychopath when you say that. Pete Hegseth is a psychopath. And I'll say that on the record. Pete Hegseth is a monster. And the fact that he says things like diversity is not our strength is abhorrent and disgusting. And nothing I was taught. And let me tell you, it wasn't DEI in 1983 that I was taught diversity is our strength. That term. In 1983. Yeah, everyone remembers how famously woke the 1980s were. But I left Kirkwood, Missouri, and went to the United States Military Academy, and my very first roommate was a black kid who taught me that I didn't know shit about the world. And so diversity is our strength. Diversity is our nation. And those who say otherwise are psychopaths and racists. Anyway, I got a little serious at the end there. This has been a great show. Mike's a great guy. I cannot believe I've never had the show before, but make sure you watch this show. Endless Urgency at Substack, everywhere else. Of course, as always, you know where to find us. We are on Substack, fpwellman.substack.com. You'll find all the news. I've got that other thing going on that I don't talk about yet, but let's not be shy. I am running for Congress. I hope you'll learn more about that. In the meantime, we are going to be here every week on the Mustache Network because this is my day job and I love it. I'm not giving it up. Keep having wonderful conversations with smart people. But in the meantime, get in the fight, folks. Something I've been saying a lot lately, talk about my little tattoo. If you haven't seen it, I'm not done yet. Okay. We're not done yet. We are not done yet. Do not surrender in advance. Get out there, support your local candidates, support your local protest peacefully and patriotically. But look, man, we are not giving this thing up. We're not giving up our democracy. Show's called On Democracy for a reason. With that, have a great Friday night. I am Fred Wellman, and this has been another edition of On Democracy right in the Mustache Network. Thank you to our sponsor, Shopify. I love Shopify. I use Shopify. My daughter's business uses Shopify, so it's such a privilege to have them for a sponsor. So in the meantime, see you next week.